It's time for this week's episode of Brandon's Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Brandon's Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Citadel University heads volleyball coach, Coach Michelle Snow. Cool. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to become a college volleyball coach?
I don't know that I knew. It's kind of something that snuck up on me. So, volleyball is a sport that I've been involved with since I was 14. And after I graduated from college, I went to the real world. I was working in corporate America, and all of my vacation days, all of my available time was spent coaching club volleyball. And I knew I wanted to coach the one day I'd used up all of my vacation days, and there were still more tournaments left to play. And so I put in some vacation time so I could go to this tournament with my team. And my boss denied my vacation request time. That's how I knew it was time. Like, all of my free time was being spent on volleyball. I was like, okay, it's time for me to commit to coaching volleyball.
What was it like playing college at Texas A&M?
Oh, it was a ton of fun. It was a dream come true. Playing volleyball for the Corbellis. I played when Lori Corbelli and John Corbelli were there. Husband and wife team. They won silver medals in the Olympics. So it was a marvelous time. Playing volleyball at Texas A&M was more than I ever hoped for, because I started volleyball really, really late in life. 14 is actually late to start playing volleyball. So it was kind of a dream that I ended up at a place like Texas A&M with such great coaches, such great sports at that school already, and such great teammates. I felt very lucky.
What were some of your accomplishments at Texas A&M during your playing career?
Oh, I love this question. The accomplishments at Texas A&M are some of the things I'm still very proud of. As you can see, still repping the Aggies right here. And so if you can see right here, this is the plaque that we got for the first time we went to the Elite Eight as a team. And so Texas A&M volleyball has only been to the Elite Eight twice. And I was a starter on both those teams. So I take that as a high accomplishment. The other thing too is I'm one of the players who got 1,000 kills and 1,000 digs. We were in the Big 12 back then, so it was really tough. And so an accomplishment that I am incredibly proud of is that there was a year where the University of Nebraska was a national championship team. They only lost one match all year, and that one match they lost to us in College Station, Texas. I take a lot of pride in that.
Of course, what was it like, obviously, having the most digs and the most touches?
Oh, wow. Well, it was back before the libero days. So it was before liberos existed. So if you were a left side, which I was, you were required to be a 6 rotation outside hitter. So you played all 3 across the back and across the front. And I had the rare privilege of being able to pass 2-man with Stacy Zakora my freshman year. And, nobody's going to serve Stacy. She was one of the world's greatest liberos, and, still holds that title for a lot of people. And so I got a lot of touches. She trained me really a lot on how to think defensively about the game. And so it really made that first touch important. I still believe the reason why I was a 4-year starter at A&M was because of my ability to pass. So I learned a lot from John Corbelli, one of the greatest coaches in the country, especially for outsides and defenders. Got to play with Stacy Zakora, and I think that really helped me hone my first touch skills.
What was it like getting to put on that A&M jersey?
That A&M jersey, I tell you, that A&M jersey comes with so much history. I am a California girl, and going to Texas, by the time you actually play your first match, the Aggie land indoctrination is fully complete. Like, I was already bleeding maroon by my first match. So putting that jersey on is a very big deal. Aggieland has some very deep traditions that mean a lot to us, going to fish camp, fighting class of '02, all those wonderful stories that you get to be a part of. It's a very big deal getting to wear the maroon and white.
Of course, as an alumni, what is it like obviously seeing the Aggie program go from the conference that they were in to now the SEC where they've currently been?
I was jealous, to be perfectly honest. Like everybody in my era will tell you the same thing. We were absolutely jealous. Getting past Nebraska to win a conference championship is darn near impossible. So it was really, really tough. So we ended up second in our conference more times than we wanted to be. And so making the move to the SEC, like you have a couple of opportunities, like still a strong conference, still very tough competition. Just a little less like daunting than playing like Nebraska at Nebraska every year. So yeah, A&M actually managed to win the SEC. I think that was in 2015, 2016. It was a really great accomplishment for them. I was very, very proud of that team, because that's part of the history, part of the story. I brag on them as if I'd won it, so letting them play in the SEC has been really great for the program. It really lets them compete hard, and it lets them see like a lot of tough competition and take all that training into the NCAA tournament.
What was it like coming out of college at Texas A&M, getting into college coaching and getting your first job?
Well, there was such a gap between my first full-time college coaching job and playing at A&M. So the game had changed. The game is very, very different now. So my first full-time college coaching job was at Azusa Pacific Division II under the great Chris Keith. He's still there, still doing great things. We finished second in the country in the NCCAA, which is the Christian colleges. So it was a great experience, a great ride. He really got me settled in on the rhythm of college coaching, which is different because of all the recruiting, managing an off season, managing in season. When you're a player, you show up and everything's prepared for you. When you're the coach, you have to have everything prepared and ready to go. So when the athletes walk into the gym, all they have to do is the volleyball part. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. It's like a duck swimming. Everything looks calm and easy on top, but underneath, man, you're kicking as hard as you can. And so I had a lot of mentorship from Chris in order to figure out how to do that.
What was it like going to South Dakota to become the assistant coach?
It was a complete gut check. I really had to decide if that was something I really wanted to do. Deciding to coach volleyball full time is something that in the moment I was like, okay, I'll do it as long as I can stay in California. But if you really want to make a career in this, if you really want to go long term, you have to be willing to go where the opportunity takes you. And when you put that stuff out into the universe immediately checks and sees if you mean it. And so the opportunity came to coach full-time Division I volleyball for the University of South Dakota Coyotes. Leanne was just starting her head coaching adventure. I'm so happy she gave me the chance. I'm so incredibly grateful for my time in South Dakota. It was a culture shock for sure. Midwest volleyball is incredibly different from West Coast volleyball. Living in South Dakota where the temperatures got to negative 20 degrees is very different for this California girl where 50 degrees used to feel like freezing. So I knew I had acclimated the day I walked outside and I was like, oh, it's finally warm. And it turned out it was only 30 degrees. So I knew at that time, okay, I've finally gotten into the rhythm. I'm ready to really call myself a coyote. That was how I knew.
What were some of your accomplishments at South Dakota?
Oh, goodness. This is the thing about coaching. None of the accomplishments are yours. Anything that goes well, that's all on the athletes. Mistakes and things that happen, those are ours, as coaches. So that team did a lot of great things. Finished second in conference. They had some first-time wins against some teams that they hadn't beaten in the past. I remember IUPUI. We beat Creighton for the first time, which was a very big deal. Creighton being a top 25 team now. And doing it at Creighton, that was huge. We beat the University of Colorado. That was also huge, being a Power 5 conference school. So the team had a lot of great accomplishments while I was at South Dakota, and we made some really tight friendships. It was wonderful.
What was it like, obviously, getting the coaching job at Corpus Christi?
Being able to go to Corpus Christi was wonderful. So Steve Green, one of the best volleyball minds in the game, hands down. His ability to come up with strategy is something that I knew I wanted to learn from. Also, I wanted to be warmer. Like, let's be a little honest. I wanted to be a little bit warmer. So going from South Dakota to the Gulf Coast, right? Corpus Christi, I lived basically on the beach. Like you walked across, the school is on the beach. So getting the chance to be a little warmer, getting the chance to learn from somebody like Steve Green was really wonderful. It was his first time being a head coach at the Division I level. So it was wonderful to be able to like work through with him and help him solidify exactly how he wanted to head coach. It was a lot of fun. We went undefeated in conference our first year. In fact, I think we went through half the conference season before we lost our first set. It was a lot of fun.
What was that like, obviously, at Corpus Christi, being the indoor coach and the beach volleyball coach?
It was rough. To be transparent, it was really, really difficult because you're in season all of the time and you're recruiting all of the time. So it's impossible to balance those two things. Recruiting is a full-time job in and of itself. Like being in season, every coach knows you burn the candle at both ends, and hope you survive. So being in season all of the time, needing to recruit for the indoor team as well as the outdoor team all of the time was really, really rough. Honestly, it's not something that I recommend, but some people are good at it. Some people are way better at it than I am. I tend to be a little obsessive. The things I do, I tend to do like at 110%. There are people who are much better at time management than me, and those people can probably get it done. I just remember being exhausted all of the time. For the athletes. Like we were running a beach team with indoor athletes. So we was a lot of time teaching them how to play the beach game. Because anybody who's coached beach, you understand like the skills that you have indoor don't necessarily translate to the beach. However, the skills you learn on the beach do great indoor. So it was a lot of like training. So for our indoor team have been so successful to transition to the beach to where they had to work so much harder to do some of the things that were so simple for them on the hardwood was a lot of work. And the athletes were really game and really willing to learn and put in that extra effort. So very proud of them for being flexible as they were. And so, yeah, I got a chance to get that, under my belt because being from California, you play a bunch of sand volleyball, but competing at the beach game is utterly different. It's utterly different. So, I mean, I learned a bunch about the difference in beach, and beach volleyball coaching is a lot of fun. They came this close to getting me to be a beach coach full time. Like it was this close. The only thing that kept me going is with the indoor side of things is I felt like there's more I wanted to do on the indoor side of the game.
What was the transition like from going from Corpus Christi, which was a Division I or II school, to going to Citadel, which was clearly a military academy?
Yeah, both schools are Division I. So A&M Corpus Christi is a Division I school. The Citadel is a Division I school. So that is where the similarities end. Like that is about it. It's Division I volleyball. That's different. At Corpus Christi, you live the good life, right? You live on the beach. It's a very like kicked back, chill kind of a school, like lots of academic opportunities, but they really let you create your own path. Whereas the Citadel, the path is clearly determined for you. The Citadel is a military academy, and I'm just going to say it. I don't mind. The toughest of the military academies. For the federal schools, which is your Army, your Navy, your Air Force. The federal schools, those are really hard to get into. Those are way harder to get into. But once you get in there, you're a federal asset. So it's kind of like, there's metrics you have to meet and very high standards to maintain, but they kind of help you through it. At the Citadel, it's easier to get into, but once you're in there, it's like, hey, if you're going to be able to say that you're a Citadel alumni, you're going to freaking earn it. So it's like the second you make it in, it's like you work hard to stay in, because that degree, once you're a Citadel alumni, like the success rate for those graduates is through the roof. They have the freaking NSA does career fairs at the Citadel. The FBI comes to their career fair. Like, I don't know another school where that happens. And so volleyball is the easiest thing those cadets do all day. There was nothing Dave and I, no drill we could make, no conditioning thing we could come up with that was going to be harder, than them trying to get from their dorm to lunch. There was nothing that we could do that would be more difficult for them. And so volleyball became their kind of like escape. It's the pause in the day, something that they can do for a lot of fun. And Dave has done amazing things with them. Like they just won conference for the first time ever under the head coaching auspices of David Zelenak. Like, great job. Very proud of those ladies. He's done a really good job of helping them play volleyball for the joy of the game in the midst of all the hard work that they do as part of the Corps of Cadets. It's a big change, but it was a lot of fun.
What was it like transitioning from obviously the Citadels, where you were the assistant coach, to now being the head coach and running your own program at Seattle?
It was a tough transition. My time at the Citadel has been some of my favorite time in volleyball. Dave and I really are two entirely different people, but we're always going to the same spot. We take two different routes, but we always got to the same spot. So there's a lot of synergy there. It was such like a welcome, like fun time to coach. Whereas, starting at Seattle University, like being a first year head coach is a tough job. It just is. You're learning your administration, what their goals are, what the goals are from the university. You're getting to know an entire team, finding out what the goals are for that team, establishing new traditions, establishing new ways to do things. And, I took the job and we were immediately in a pandemic. So, being a first year head coach is tough, but then, it kind of changed the goals of you're managing to keep people healthy, keep people safe, like focusing on the student welfare. We wanted to make sure that the student experience stayed as good as it could possibly be in the middle of a pandemic. So that was kind of the toughest part, is because it came less about volleyball and just about making sure that the athletes were healthy and happy.
What are some of your accomplishments so far as head coach at Seattle?
Keeping the athletes happy, like healthy and happy. Like, we managed that pandemic very, very well. I think that was the best thing that we did. There's a few number of cases I have to put a lot of credit on our medical staff. Our athletic trainers are top notch. The system that they came up with was actually replicated across the country. The number of cases that we had as a volleyball team was very low, well below the average. So we had a lot of great structures in place that really helped us manage it. So a lot goes to them. But yeah, mainly that's been the main accomplishments, is basically like guiding us through the pandemic. Looking forward to the future, we've got a big recruiting class coming in, and for 2022, a great group of athletes who are ready to come in and learn the way we do things here at Seattle University. Right now, during the off season, I've got a group of seniors, going to be seniors, who are taking time to really establish a foundation so that when the new people come in, they have a strong foundation to stand on as we move forward and do our best to win the WAC.
Can you talk about, of course, what it was like at becoming a head coach after obviously being an assistant coach for so many years? What was that transition like from going from being close to the head coach at that one seat to now sitting in the driver's seat?
I love being in the driver's seat. I'm a strong woman from a long line of strong women. Like, we like being in the driver's seat. Like, give me the steering wheel, pedal to the metal, full, let's go. Speed limits mean nothing to us. Like, let's get this thing going full throttle. So I like being in the driver's seat. There's no way to know what it's like, to be perfectly honest. I've done all kind of conventions. I have friends who've been in the coaching game for a very long time. I have some wonderful mentors. The Corbellis have been great. It's something that you can't know what it is until you get there. And then you realize not only you can't know what it is until you get there, you're also creating it. And so I think that's something that I'm having a lot of fun with, is creating what it means to coach here for Seattle U in this university, because we're a Jesuit school. So we use that Jesuit education, and we have something here we call the Red Hawk experience. And it's a learning style that's uniquely our own. I think of it as our competitive advantage. And basically we make it a point to learn by doing. The Red Hawk experience is all about you engage, you reflect, you prepare and then you serve. And so you can get out there and make a difference in your community. So this school is bigger than just this experience while you're here. And so as a coach, really managing beyond the sport has been the biggest thing for me, because as the assistant coach, you drive somebody else's vision. As the head coach, I get to create the vision. And here the vision needs to be bigger than just my program. It's a lot of fun.
What are some of the teams that you face in your conference?
Well, that changes every year. The WAC has been going through some major changes. They recently added football back in. Seattle University is not going to be, we don't have a football team, so we won't be part of that. But we added a bunch of schools in Texas. A lot of the schools who were in the Southland Conference when I was coaching at A&M Corpus Christi are now in the WAC. So it's been kind of a reunion with some of those coaches to see them again and get to compete against them again. So that's been a lot of fun. Being able to compete in the WAC it kind of feels like a reunion. I got some nostalgia pieces back in here. It's great.
Of course, as you talked about competing in the WAC and having those coaches, what is it like, obviously, knowing their coaching style from obviously being an assistant coach to now being a head coach, still knowing their coaching style and what their program is about to beat them?
Yeah, it's helpful to know an opposing coach's style. It's helpful to be familiar with that because, volleyball is a complex game and it's built a lot on patterns and angles. And just having kind of an idea of what you think that coach prioritizes helps you understand and helps you with your scouting reports and helps you like game plan as you're about to play that team. So that makes it a lot easier. And then, facing them as head coaches now, the part that you don't really get to do as an assistant is all of the camaraderie that happens, because there's a lot of WAC coaches meetings where all the head coaches talk together and you start to realize how much of your conference is crafted by the head coaches working together and finding points of agreement and coming up with ways to make the schedule works, to make the rules work, to make, how the flow of competition goes. A lot of that happens collaboratively between head coaches. So that's been something new for me to understand. And it's been kind of nice being able to get on conference calls and get to know these people, not just as a coach that you're going to play against, but also as colleagues, also as people who are all trying to grow the WAC and make it as competitive as possible.
Of course, as you talked about getting on those conference calls with those coaches, what is it like now as a head coach, having those conference calls and being like, oh, hey, I want to play you, let's say in August as the first game?
Scheduling is always tough. Everybody will tell you scheduling is always tough. For Division I volleyball, the first 4 weekends of play tend to be tournament play. So it's outside of conference. And so you've got to find people who fit your RPI goals, because there's a lot of people looking for at-large bids into the conference tournament, into the NCAA tournament, in case they don't get the automatic bid from their conference. So RPI matters in those first 4 weekends. And so being able to have a lot of relationships across the country helps a ton. Because it's like sometimes you want to travel far, sometimes you want to stay close to home, and you just need some options across the board, some high RPI teams, some mid-level, and just some people who are up and coming. So you want to have all of those options available for you. And so it requires a lot of conversations. A lot of conversations and a lot of talking and a lot of emails, but scheduling is an important piece and it does take a lot of collaboration to get it done.
What are some of your game day traditions and routines that y'all have created?
I don't know that we've created it. So there's routine. As coaches, we come up with the routine of game day. When it comes to traditions, just stuff that I've seen the team do, or should I say heard the team do, their favorite thing as a group. They like to scream sing in the locker room before the coaches come in to do the pregame talk. They probably think of it as just singing. I'm going to say scream singing, because literally we wait outside the door until the Carrie Underwoods, before he cheats. I wait till they're done scream singing that, because once that song is done, then I know they're ready for me to come in and talk scouting report again. Before that song is done, if I try to walk in that locker room, they'll be like, "Coach, we're not ready." So scream singing, dancing, and TikTok videos have absolutely become a tradition of this team here at Seattle U.
What does the recruitment process look like for prospective student athletes? But in particular, what does it also look like as a head coach and a new head coach?
Recruiting is a tough process, and it's changed a lot post-pandemic, to be perfectly honest. Not even that we're post-pandemic, right? Pre-pandemic to now, it's changed a ton. The COVID year for a lot of seniors getting that bonus year has really changed the scholarshiping that's available. The transfer portal is flooded with talent. So that's made it a little different for high school freshmen, our high school seniors who are looking to be college freshmen. It's made the process very, very different for them, because when you bring on the difference between high school volleyball and college volleyball, there's a big jump. And as coaches, there's no way for us to know which athletes are going to actually be able to make that jump. You know, we take educated guesses. We've been in this game long enough. Evaluating talent is the biggest piece of our job. So we kind of take an educated guess on who we think can make that jump and who might struggle a bit. But as a coach, for a lot of people, if they don't have to take that gamble, they're really looking to the transfer portal a lot for athletes. And then there's a lot of fifth-year seniors. So the scholarships that might have been available for freshmen isn't as available. So for that 22 class, they were severely impacted by that. The 23 class, they'll probably see some effects of that as well. It's really hard to tell. The process is different now. What I can tell athletes, what I propose for athletes to do, my 22 class is mostly, you know, high school athletes who are coming in to be freshmen. I plan to do the same for 23, but we'll just see what talent is available. I encourage high school seniors and high school juniors, leave your pride behind. Just be persistent. Go after the schools that you want. Ask direct questions so that you get direct answers. The last thing you do is to be hanging on as kind of a third option for a school if your first option someplace else, and then miss out on opportunities for scholarshiping or missing out on roster spots. If you're willing to walk onto a school, you need to be upfront about it. It makes a difference because there's a lot of talent out there that would be willing to walk on to rosters that don't want to say that. And so sometimes head coaches think, oh, like, you know, that kid won't play here without a scholarship and I don't have one available. So they just move on. You want to be transparent. You want to be bold. You want to be persistent. Really reach out to coaches. Don't wait for them to reach out to you. Know what you want and go get it.
What does the recruitment process look like on the official visit side at Seattle?
It's fun. Seattle's a great city. So, you know, there's a lot to do here. The official visit side here has a lot to do with seeing the city. It has a lot to do with getting rained on, and has a lot to do with eating some very, very excellent food. The cuisine here in Seattle is phenomenal. So, you know, our recruiting visits are really structured around the athletes that we're bringing in. I always look at that as a time for them to get all of their questions answered. As you can see, asking the right questions and being bold about it are very important to me. And so every recruiting visit is a little different. It just depends on the athletes who are coming in and what they've expressed that they want to make sure that they see, who they want to talk to, what part of the city they're curious about. So we kind of customize as we go.
Of course, how have you used, obviously with Seattle having so much rain, have you used that as a good thing versus obviously having it as a negative thing for not recruits?
All right. So when it comes to Seattle rain, like, I got to let you in on a little secret. It really doesn't rain as much as people say. And I say that as somebody who's coming from someplace else, right? Like, I am not a born and raised Seattleite. Like, I'm a convert, you know, like, I'm coming in, and I really expected it to rain all of the time. And for me to always need like a raincoat, because umbrellas are not cool in Seattle. You need to know this. You come to Seattle, you will not get an umbrella. It's not cool. They don't have it. But it honestly, it doesn't rain that much. Like, and rain here is more like a heavy mist for like 5 minutes. And so the biggest thing that is like the sky is super moody. So there'll definitely be like some dramatic cloud features. There'll definitely be the sky always looks threatening and dramatic. But I mean, I don't know that it really rains as much as they say, but you know, don't let that cat out of the bag. I think they just don't want a ton of people moving to Seattle because the town's kind of great. So I think they're trying to keep it secret.
Of course, what does the official visit look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go to Seattle?
For us, when you're going to do an official visit, if we're going to do that, we're probably towards the end of the recruiting process. And this is kind of like to make sure and confirm. So we've probably spent a lot of time talking over the phone. We've done a bunch of Zooms. You've probably come out in an unofficial capacity. So by the time we do an official visit, like it is, like I said, we customize it because it's kind of, okay, get all the information that you need. So then, shortly thereafter, you can kind of make a decision on what you want to do and where you want to go. So that's kind of how we use our official visits. Like we kind of use them as the punctuation, to the entire recruiting process, as opposed to like an intro. The getting to know you process, we try to do as much as we can on that one before we actually bring people on campus and meet the team.
What does it look like whenever those prospective student athletes get to put on that Seattle red jersey? And what does that feel like for you as a head coach?
Yeah, so we like to have photo shoots for them so that they can have pictures if they want to post them. Like if that's something that they want, we like to do it. They tend to be pretty excited about it. We let their parents jump in the photos too. It looks like it means a lot. Wear red is very important to this team. Stepping out on that floor in the Red Hawk Center in North Court, like with the support that we get, is a very big deal. So I like to think it has a big impact on them. We're still like, I'm still learning like all of what it means to them. So that's something that I'm still learning and figuring out, but it's an impactful moment. That red jersey is their favorite one.
Of course, what advice would you give those high school athletes looking to play college volleyball?
If you're looking to play college volleyball, keep learning, keep growing. It's something, and let people tell you no, like go for it, like be ambitious, like swing for the fences, absolutely do it. And keep learning, never stop learning, whether you're a senior, whether you're a junior, especially if you're a freshman, sophomore, especially if you're still in middle school. Like your biggest thing, the best thing you can do for yourself is grow the game, become a better athlete, play as many positions as you can for as long as you can. Try not to specialize in your position unless you're a setter until you have to. Because the more you know the game, the more you know about all of the different aspects of the game, the more valuable you are by the time you get to college.
What advice would you give those college athletes that are looking to go into professional volleyball, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or the AVP or overseas and play, or the Olympics?
Yeah, if you want to play professional volleyball, if you want to play overseas, like double thumbs up. Absolutely do it, hands down. I think more college athletes should play professionally after school, because the thing of it is you have the rest of your life to pursue a career. You have a very small window to be an athlete. It's a very small window. And the worst thing that happens is that you play professionally, you decide it's not for you, but then forever after you get to be a professional athlete. That's something you'll talk about in every interview you ever do ever. I got to play overseas in Spain, and that is something that I talk about all of the time. There's plenty of companies out there to help you get started. There's plenty of coaches if you want to transition from indoor to the beach for the AVP. If you want to go into Athletes Unlimited, which is a unique experience where the players are the coaches. So if you want to do those things, there's plenty of people you can talk to, find a mentor, talk to people about it, and absolutely like do it scared, do it scared, do it unsure, do it if you're not ready. But I think it's absolutely worth doing. It's valuable for you, whether you enjoy it or whether you don't. Like the only thing you can do is find out. It's well worth pursuing.
What advice would you give those head coaches that are first-time head coaches and even coaches in college, coaching in college?
Yeah. I still feel very, very new. I still feel incredibly new. I still feel like a first-time head coach. So my advice is to stay curious. That's what I'm trying to do, is stay curious and be very forgiving of yourself. You're going to make mistakes, but you have to make those mistakes if you're going to grow. So be adventurous, go for it, make mistakes, fail hard, and then fail harder. and keep growing. Like, never get too stuck in something that you want to work when it's time to change track, and be flexible with things. So I think that's the best advice I can offer, people who are just starting out, people who are looking to get into college coaching for the first time, who are looking to start their assistant coach journey. I'm going to say, call me. I have an opening. It's perfect for an entry-level coach. So call me on that one. My other assistant coach, Michael Hobson, he is great. He's been with us for 2 seasons. I would be a fool to think I'll be able to keep him forever. I know somebody's going to snatch him up sooner or later. So when that job comes open, that'll be for, somebody who's a little more established. But yeah, if you're looking to get into coaching, call me.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media? And where can my listeners also find the program at?
Yeah, the program, you can find them at Go Seattle U across all platforms. So that's Twitter, Go Seattle U, Go Seattle U VB is us. And then me, I'm Michelle Cole _me at in Instagram. I'm Michelle Cole.me on Twitter. So that's where you'll find me. I currently post rarely, but I have plans to start posting regularly in February. Maybe it's because it's my birthday month, maybe not, but yeah, so starting to plan to post more personally. And then the program's always posting something fun and funny, because my assistant coaches take care of that, and they're hilarious.
Thank you again, Coach Michelle Cole, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the head coach of the Citadel University.
Thank you. Go Red Hawks.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brid, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Michelle Cole, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks. Bye.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.